We're off to a good start.
Nice. Hey, how are
Welcome.
you, man?
I'm doing super well. This is the official start to episode 11 of an Untold narrative. Why don't you introduce yourself?
All right. So, I'm Michal. I am a designer. I'm a product industrial designer, and I have experience in like all sorts of products, ranging from footwear to jewelry, eyewear, or watches. And yeah, so. So that would be like short. I don't know if I should like start from like um
We'll get
maybe
into
like
the whole history. I don't know if you had an opportunity to listen to any of the previous episodes, but the goal is to really just um, share your story from the start, where you're from. Obviously, you have even an accent, so you must where you are originally from, where your
got it.
heritage is.
Yeah. Okay. That's good that you give me these constraints so I know that's are you gonna cut it, or is this the whole thing that it's gonna go out?
It's usually unedited unless like
Okay.
you ask me to take something out afterwards.
Cool.
There's
Yeah.
been
No, that I'm fine with it. Yeah.
I try to keep it
Um.
as raw as possible. A lot of people have reached out saying that they really appreciate that because it's authentic and it's not too edited. It's not like,
Got it.
professional. It's raw. It's like we're having a conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. So no, I didn't have. Like really quickly. I clicked on some things on Instagram on the Instagram page, and but I didn't see the whole thing, and I noticed that it's raw. So yeah, but I just didn't know the structure. So yeah. Well. So I would. Yeah. So I'm. My name is Michal Kukucka. I'm from Slovakia. In Europe, Eastern Europe. And yeah, yeah, to I would probably go further back, before I started in professional describing professional life. I like draw the picture of myself, maybe.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
was. Yeah.
Like were you born in Slovakia?
Yeah, so I was born in Slovakia. I was born in like a small industrial city, surrounded by mountains, and the city was known for like a paper production. And there was not so much to do there. So I was like often, taking a camera and going for long walks, and like just to take pictures. And my 5-year older brother was like always inspiration to me. He was working on somewhat a creative industry at the time, so he was working in games, and so he always was interested in like creating stuff and like taking pictures, and like he was doing textures and like game design. So that was inspiration, huge inspiration for me. And so my father was like working in a paper factory, and so he wasn't like he was traveling a lot, so mom was taking care of us, and so we spent a whole lot of time in like in mountains hiking, and like helping my parents in the garden, and they were growing their own veggies there, and like saving money wherever they could. And like we did
Totally.
a lot of like outdoor sports and hiking, and cross country skiing, and this sort of stuff. And I remember like how much I hated like waking up early before the dawn, and like getting my backpack ready, and like be under the mountain when the first sun came up, and like hike for the entire day.
Yeah.
But now as I'm getting older, I'm seeing the benefits of it, and I'm even doing it myself voluntarily.
Yeah.
So from early age, I was like showing interest in like creative expression, and so I was like going to art school, and like after the elementary school activities, like it was like besides the elementary school. So I remember I could be probably like 14, 15 years old when I was like starting to play with 3D Max back then. So we had like this like 150 megahertz PC at home set up. My father was like very like forward thinking. Like
Cool.
he got us a PC because he knew that this is gonna be like the thing, and so we were running like max 3.1 or something, like I don't know what it was back then, like some early version. And my brother was really good at it, and I followed him, and I learned like how to make animations and some basic models, and like so computers like became really like center of our lives.
What year was this?
So
Like you mentioned 14, 15 years old.
oh my god, that could be I would have to calculate it. I'm not a good
What year were you born? Let's go backwards then.
1984
80.
plus 15
Yeah,
years.
so like 2000.
2000, right? Okay, that makes sense. I was gonna say that, but I'm like, I don't want to look lame that I
No,
don't
it's all
know.
right. We're you look much younger than 35, so good for
Oh,
you.
thanks, man.
Yeah, no. So Slovakia is actually right south of Poland, if my
Yes,
geography is right.
correct,
Yeah. So I don't know
correct.
if you
Yeah.
knew that I was born in Poland.
Oh,
Um,
nice. Yeah.
yeah. So I'm in the south of Poland too. So yeah, I've been to Slovakia. Even we did like this whitewater rafting down this river in Slovakia. It was pretty cool.
That's not. Yeah.
So I'm very familiar with like the old school kind of like vibe of like the mountains, and like, you know, your
Yeah.
family grows everything, all the vegetables. You know, basically you very rarely go to a store to purchase anything. Like it's
Exactly. Yeah, I was just thinking about it, like what everybody's so crazy about, like the farmers markets in LA. So that was quite normal
yeah,
thing
exactly.
of like everybody would just go to farmers market and like buy stuff from local, you know, producers. So yeah, that was
Totally.
but yeah, and so high, you're familiar with high Tatras as well, right? If you were,
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah, if you
We're
were in
from right
South,
around that area.
yeah.
But
So so
I moved to America when I was like 2 years old. So
two
I was,
years old,
yeah, I was super young.
yeah. Well, that good for you, man. I mean,
So how did we'll go back to you being like 15, 16 years old. I mean, getting into 3D, obviously.
yeah,
Did you study art or design in high school, or did you, obviously the education system in European countries is a little bit different.
yeah. It's different. I don't know exactly the differences, like what age you're entering what grade. But yeah, like um, for some reason, like my brother, older brother, showed the creativity, and I kind of like, because I was always looking up to him, I kind of followed, and um, and my parents just saw that like um, the attention to like me wanting to create. I guess like every child is creative in certain ways, right? So I don't think it was very different from other kids, but maybe we showed like a little bit more than that. So they kind of like noticed that, and they put us into a lot of, like, they don't want to develop that what I saw, so they just put us in the art school. And that was like after the elementary school, like after you finish that, then you go afternoon. That's like your afternoon activity. So I went there to like draw portraits and like sculpt in a clay and stuff like that.
So you started early.
Kind of, yeah, kind of early, yeah. I was in touch with these creative techniques, you know, and there were even some competitions and we went to and group sessions. Like we went the whole group, the art group went like for camp, you know, and like, so these sort of like workshops, you could say, you could call it
Yeah,
workshop,
as
right?
children.
Yeah, as children, yeah. And so yeah, so I was like in touch with art in some ways from early age. That I was even actually, that now that we talk about it, I was attending like our acting classes.
Oh,
um
there you go.
yeah, so that was fun. So I, after the art school, I even went there for a couple of months, and that was fun. Yeah, since I'm in LA right now, I could, you know, like maybe refresh my my
Acting
skills and
career.
like, yeah, acting career. So that was good for like kids to be more confident. I think it's like a good skills to have. Like if I have a children, I will definitely like self-expression is important. You know, like art is good, but like then I would definitely put the kid on like a music instrument, or you know, something like singing, like something like where you can express yourself, because we all have that, I believe, that we need to get it out. And it just like, and some people doesn't, like some people hold it, and like you just need to express yourself. I guess, like, so it's good for kids to have that.
I love that.
Yeah. And
So
yeah.
did you what stage in the education system did you like go full into like design or art? Was it like after elementary school or high school?
So full, that there was a step in between, because I wasn't sure like that I want to do design yet. And I like, there was a field like design wasn't so like as a um, um, discipline wasn't like really known back then. You
Right.
know, it wasn't popular, and so, but our teachers, they already knew like how to like prepare me for it, and so we did some like kind of like a design project, and already back then when I was like 14, 15, 16. But then like when like 17, 18, like it's time to go to high school, right? And so that's and then you need to choose your you either go to something that's called gymnasium,
Yep.
like a general, right, education, and or you can like focus yourself on something, you know, like some field, right? So I, because I spent so much time on computers, I kind of like I grew my how to say, like attention for, or like I wanted to learn more about programming and like how computers work. So like I shifted from that creative field into like more like a building a website. And
Wow.
so and that took me to another school. So basically I went to study like a computer science, and then like
So
how
you did like a
computers work.
trade school, not like a generic high school. You went to like a trade specific.
Yeah. I like I kind of choose my major, if you will, like that, you can call it like that, right? So
But
and so
that's young.
after that, you could like after doing that school, you could like then do it professionally. You could, and so my field was like, after I finished school, I supposed to be able to do like build networks, you know, like with routers and stuff like that. Like, you know, of course, like in a very basic level, but you should be able to work for a company like that, right?
Right.
With that knowledge. And so during that time, I used that all that free time to learn like how to program websites and design them as well. So I even like at that time built a couple of websites for real clients, actually. Yeah. So that was
Holy
like making,
cow.
yeah, I was like, it was cool. It was like, I made some money on it, and I met some cool people through that. So that was like, wow, this is awesome. Like I kind of like it, you know, like
That's still like the early internet era, because that's like,
it was.
early 2000s, like to
Yeah.
build a website back then was
I think
probably
it
a
was.
lot different than today.
Yeah, it was like, so I was learning PHP. That was the learning, that was the language, and like then HTML and CSS. That was for the styling, and like for the backend, like how to make it work. That was the PHP. I was so much into it. Like build your own guest book back then. Like you can like write something on a website and it comes up. I'm like, I was blown away. And then connect it to that database, like understanding it, it was, yeah, I really liked it.
That's
But
amazing.
then, yeah, it was like I wasn't sure, like if I want to, like there is limitations to it, and you need to know like where is your strengths. And like that, I felt like this is not my strength. And like after I reached some level, I'm like, you either can like go full on programmer, uh but maybe you need to also have like a uh talent for it, or like I don't know, like I
A
felt like this is
passion
not.
for it. Like you need to love it.
Yeah, you need to love it. And like I'm not sure if that, like that level of expertise I wanted to reach on a professional level. I didn't want to, I wasn't sure if I want to professionally do this, you know, like for rest of my life.
Right.
So I kind of like wanted to pursue like something more creative. So at the end of the high school, then you're supposed to go to university, right? Which is like the higher education. And I'm like, okay, I don't want to go where all my classmates want to go, because they wanted to choose like companies, like tech companies and stuff. And I want to, or sorry, not tech companies, like tech schools, and like tech direction, right? And I don't want to kind of like do that. I want to go more creative. So I started to like educate myself back into like art and like practice, because I wanted to go to Academy of Fine Arts and Design, which is in the capital in Bratislava. And so yeah, I took some like a classes, and like exam preparation courses, so I can like kind of like get in that school. And since I had that like early age kind of knowledge already, there was some talent, and there was some like I had that skills, so I was able to kind of like get through get through the exams. And they also like that I had different field of expertise, that I was like doing websites and like programming, like, oh, what, this guy design cars or whatever. That was my intention. I wanted to get into a car design studio. So because there was different, like, it was like a product design, industrial design, and car design, right? And so I wanted to do that car design, right? So I always loved cars, like every boy probably loved car, want to design. So I'm like, I want to design cars, and so that was my goal. And so I got in. It was a great feeling that I managed. Yeah, so that's another like chapter, because that really formed me, being in this university, art university, because the people there, so the design studio was focused on like styling perspective of cars rather than the technical side. So now our teacher was like very successful industrial designer. His name is Stefan Klein. Maybe some people might know, like if you Google him, probably some cars will come up. And so he designed like trains, trucks, and like, he was probably the first industrial designer in Slovakia that was like really successful and like made it. And his personal project was like flying car. And so that was like, he really managed to build a couple of prototypes, which he drove them himself, because he knew how to fly a plane, right? So he built his own flying car, and he flew it,
successfully.
And successfully, yeah. It took off the ground like for a couple of meters, and
shit.
Yeah.
I gotta Google this guy. That's amazing.
Yeah. You can Google. I can send you links like Aeromobile and Stefan Klein, and like he really built it. There was a couple of prototypes until he got to the functional one, and then he sold the idea to the bigger company. Bigger company took it over, and then some investment came in, and they were able to build like a lot more functional and bigger. Because the first prototypes were kind of like dangerous to fly, and it was just like really homemade. It was homemade in his garage. Like we went to his home, and like he had it like in his backyard. He was building it with some workers that he was paying, and so and then of course, like over the years, he took it to the next level thanks to the investment. Now he's not involved in that idea. He sold the whole thing. But like not right now, the direction of flying cars, like it's coming back. Like you can see it, right? There's like flying, like drone cars and stuff like that. But they have different techniques, like more like a helicopters.
Yeah.
And what he was thinking was like more like a plane / car. I mean, it was difficult. It would be difficult to like blend it into real life, that whole idea. But in that sense, I think he was like true visionary.
Sounds like an awesome teacher.
That he believed in that, and that he built it, and he managed to convince other people like to help him, and then successfully like build a prototype, and like I guess they're selling it right now also. Like you can buy it. Yeah, it's awesome. So he was like, he was our teacher. So this guy was our teacher, right?
That's
And
amazing
so
though.
so he was like, for me, he influenced us tremendously, right? He taught us like importance of having like this multifaceted skill set.
Hmm.
And this is where I like really learned how to do animations. Like he really pushed us into a lot of new things, like really learn how to think on paper, how to do 3D. 3D was super important to him, and like now I'm thankful that I tried all these softwares, learned like basics of animation, sculpting in clay, because in car design you need to like know how to like manually make
Yep.
the model. So that was also in that studio that we had all these techniques and all
That's
these
amazing.
yeah. And so he was also well connected in the design world, so he was always inviting people from car companies, and like so we had like the connection with the real world. That was great. um and he even like, it was a great emphasis uh, video and animations, sorry, and stereo vision, or like a 3D animation, right? Like now it's normal like in cinemas, right? You have a 3D movie. That back then, like it wasn't, like he captured that like trend when it was like coming,
Yeah.
right? And we had that like double projector in a studio, like two projectors and glasses, and we could just render our stuff in 3D, and then at a presentation we would just give the 3D glasses to everybody, and like you would present your concept in 3D. So
Holy
he
shit.
was really pushing us towards like these kind of new techniques. So in that sense, it was really yeah, it was super influential. Like really pursue the new technologies, and learn them, and have it like as your um as your like like a weapons, right? Like it's like a, yeah, it's like a weapons that you can like then use in a battle, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like all these
In the
skill sets
professional world.
in a professional world. So yeah, and also like the studio, like I made a lot of great friends there, right? Like I felt that this area of like the creative world was for me. I felt, because the people, the crowd, like it was a huge inspiration for me. Like I have to say that like I felt this is my kind of people, and we had so much fun, together, and like yeah, I wouldn't probably have so much fun, and so I wouldn't learn so much. I wouldn't feel so home if I go to another type of school, probably. So this is really, I blended in, and like I met a lot of great friends, and they were a huge influence for me for like my further professional career. The way they thought, the way they worked. So that was really some good
environment
friendships.
environment and who you surround yourself with is so key in life in general, right? They either push you
Exactly.
or
Yeah.
they make you lazier, or whatever the case may be, and
Yeah.
100% it's a good influence.
Yeah, and a lot of these guys, exactly, yeah, a lot of these guys were very ambitious, and I'm glad for that, because like if you are not around ambitious people, you won't be very ambitious, right?
Exactly.
And so they all ended up like in a car companies, like doing design, and so it's inspiring. Yeah, so I cannot agree more with that. Yeah.
Do
And
you so
so yeah.
so you took this course, you had this amazing teacher,
Yeah.
you're surrounded by great designers and influence. And where was so when you graduate, what did you get into car design yourself, or did you go work in a different field?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I was actually a little bit scared myself when I graduated, like what I'm gonna
What
do
am I gonna do?
with a design degree in Slovakia, like
Yeah, are there car companies in Slovakia?
there now there is a lot more. Like back then there was probably industrial designers doing stuff, cool stuff, like from their garages, right? But like there wouldn't be like market for like industrial product designer. You would have to like go abroad
Right.
with that. And um and and car companies, they were just factories basically, yeah, like making the cars. But no design studios. and like the school was set up in a way that if you are like really hard worker and you are really good at it, you will end up having a design job, you know, like either on interior design or exterior design, depends on your skills. And for me, maybe I didn't like, maybe I didn't see so much, you know, like I didn't see myself working in a big design studio or in a big company. Yeah, I was one of the guys that just didn't make it to any design car design studio, and maybe it wasn't for me. Yeah, I tried, but it was also like this was back in 2010. Uh, yeah, 2010, and like I think it was right after crisis, or
Yeah,
yeah, around the crisis, and so with the jobs it was pretty difficult in Europe, I guess, like many
everywhere.
places in the world. And so yeah, I just like, I don't want to use it as an excuse, but it was part of the, like it was definitely harder to get in somewhere. Yeah.
And also,
uh,
like, for the majority of people who listen to this are primarily American, I would say. But, in Eastern European countries, I mean, doing like an industrial design field, like I remember when I went to college, I graduated, I went to college from '09 to 14. So, when I told my family in Poland that I'm going for industrial design, nobody had any idea what that was.
yeah,
So even the jobs, in Poland and in Eastern Europe, like, there's not a lot to put it into context. Like there, it's not like it is here in the States where you can
yeah,
maybe go a couple states over and you can find a job, or uh,
exactly, yeah.
back
There is the, yeah,
yeah,
there is the demand and there is the market here. And I also like the way the schools are set up here. I mean, yeah, like we worked with some interns here from our art center
yep,
in Pasadena, and they're like, the way they work and think, if they're so well prepared to be put into company and work efficiently. Like yes, that's, and there is so many companies, like going to their shows and like picking the talents. But yeah, like back in there and in Europe or Eastern Europe, you would have to go like to another countries in Europe probably. Yeah, where there was the demand already. Yeah.
yeah. So what was the first job that you picked up in design?
And so yeah, like after this, it was like, oh, what I'm gonna do. uh I was of course freelancing a lot,
Okay.
like, yeah, or doing, even during school, like we were like hard workers, like anybody who would have some freelance jobs, like either it was still websites, like design websites or make websites or do some visualizations. We were good at that, so we helped with some architectural, the architecture. There was some studios, so that they were always constantly looking
Sure.
for like somebody to make nice visualizations and stuff like that. So so we could make some money. And but like I was, luckily I met someone that recommended me this program. It's called Leonardo. It's similar to Erasmus. Erasmus is like a program for students to travel in Europe, and like it's an exchange program, right? So you can
Okay.
go. They'll fund you some money. You can go like study somewhere abroad, right?
Okay.
So Leonardo is a little bit different. It's like after you graduate and you don't have the experience so much with the companies, you can go to work somewhere in some company in the European Union, and they will give you some money so you can survive, because usually you will be working for free, so, and you can get the experience. So I'm like, okay, I looked at the list of the companies that they had listed. I went, of course, to my school first. I asked for all the details, and they gave me all the details. I looked at the companies, and there was like it was a lot of stuff that didn't have so much to do with creative field. And I found like an architectural studio in Spain, in Barcelona. I'm
Wow.
like, that's it. That's where I'm gonna push. I'm gonna push there. And so I sent out like my stuff, which had nothing to do with architecture, but it was amazing cars and sketches
Sure.
and renderings. And they were like, oh yeah, we can use this guy for sure. Yeah. so yeah, they accept me, and that was my kind of like after school internship for 4 months in Barcelona,
Wow.
and yeah, that was fun. Like um, we were basically I did like design projects, visualizations, and like typical architectural hustle environment. Like you're producing like tons of fully thought out like rendered projects that might never see the light of day.
Yep.
Like yeah. So this was like yeah, but I learned a lot, and I was like it was a great environment to be in, and actually after like 4 months of interning they offered me a job.
Oh, no
So
shit.
yeah, so the guy was like, oh yeah, like you're so good, like I can keep you here. And I remember I felt it felt amazing, like this is
Yeah, for
like
sure. You
I,
made it.
I made it. I can live in this amazing city and work, and that was a big achievement for me. I have to say, like yeah, that was awesome. So I did this like yeah, I spent in Spain like almost 2 years. Yeah,
Wow.
I learned Spanish. I learned some basic Spanish during
Totally.
that time. I was really active. And yeah, as I said, like product design project with local brands, and like so the my boss was like mainly architecture focused, but like he found some clients that we could work on industrial design also. So
Amazing.
that was awesome. Yeah, I yeah, but then after a while, like it was 2 years. I was young. I was like what 26. I started to itch,
What's next?
and like what's next? What else I can like? I felt the urge that I want to learn something new. And at this time, like I had like a strong passion for high heel shoes, and I just wanted to somehow know more about shoes in general. And I felt like a weirdo, going to stores and checking out women's shoes, but
Wait,
I
but
was really,
where did this passion of high heels come from?
I don't know, like I guess you want to be closer to women or something, as a
Yeah,
guy.
maybe.
That might be it, like first these cars, like
Fill the
I don't know.
child in you.
Yeah, the inner child, exactly. So I was like observing the like we're going to stores and like checking out the materials and detailing, and then like I even bought like a couple of shoes, and I took them apart, ripped them apart back in my apartment, and like learned how they are made, and like started sketching from there, and like doing some 3D, and I like you just had I will get to that later, but like I just had that passion, and if you start to like send out a signal to the world, around you, so that this is what you want, usually you will find a way somehow, right? So so I knew about this brand United Nude, and so for me, I was following them for a long time, and I knew that they are like doing things differently. At that time, it was like maybe these days, like the products, the footwear products are a lot more like experimental,
Mhm.
and it wasn't always like that. I'm not saying they were the only one, but on my radar, they were like
What year was this?
this was 2012,
Okay.
13. Yeah, yeah, 2012, something like that. Yeah, and because I remember when I started, it was 2012, and so uh, I so I remember because my ex girlfriend was working like this is fine. I have some notes here, so I don't forget.
Amazing.
I'm prepared,
I'm
I'm
so
prepared.
happy to hear that.
I'm prepared. So my ex-girlfriend worked in El Born, which is like heart of Barcelona, right, at the restaurant. And I remember like passing by this shoe store, where United Nude shoes, they had their shoes there, and then every season was something new, and I knew about them, right? and it wasn't the extreme stuff that they usually were doing, but it was like this, not the conceptual, the commercial stuff. But I always loved it, and I like wanted to, I knew of them, but for a long time. But seeing that every day like made me like every day I'm passing away made me like write an email and like asking for like I think they were offering internships and stuff and so kudos to their like Spanish distributor whom I later met for doing such a great job because like this changed like course of my career like because he like the shoes were there and like I was passing by them like every day and I saw them I'm like one day I just like wrote email and like sent my stuff and then they emailed back like oh at the time they could offer only like internship right which is funny because so the yeah because I was making money already I was like having normal job right and and this was another opportunity I saved up some money and they offered like some money but it was small right and it was the studio was in China also in Guangzhou right so I would have to fly there for 4 months and do the internship yeah so
Are they based out of Guangzhou?
well, their design studio and development studio is there. Yeah, but they have like Amsterdam store.
Okay.
There's like yeah. And right now, well, I will get to that. But now they have also LA studio, LA design studio. Back then it wasn't like that. It was like we want to expand to. I'll get to that. Back then it was just China. The design center and like development was there
So
because the factories are there basically.
yeah. So you took an internship in Guangzhou, China.
Yeah.
Less pay than what you were making in Barcelona.
Less pay exactly like so. It actually is another line of the story. At the same time, I had a friend working in a yacht company, right? So he's a yacht designer, boats, and so they were looking for someone for visualizations with possibility to pursue like a design career later. So you don't end up just as a visualization guy. And so I was in the middle actually of negotiating salary with them. And but my choice eventually was the one less financially stable, but definitely more adventurous.
What a
So
risk.
yeah, yeah. I'm like, you know, yeah, like I was 27. And I'm like China, hell yeah. You know, when else you're gonna have opportunity to go to China for to work and learn about shoes that you wanted for a company that you like? You know, I'm like I have to do this. Like no matter what, I have to do this. You know,
I don't know if everybody would take that same opportunity. I mean, because it's a different world over there. I mean,
it is
you can talk about it. I
exactly,
mean,
and I didn't know anything about it,
or Chinese or
and exactly and because of that not knowing anything about it like first thing I went to Google and like okay is this far okay what else we know around here so Guangzhou is like it's mainland and then Hong Kong and like Hong Kong I heard of that yeah so it's
it's
like
2.5 hours away by train.
yes exactly I'm like you are so right that was the decision maker I'm like so this is like 2 hours 3 hours away from Hong Kong. I'm going because like Hong Kong, you could Google pictures. Everything is
Yeah,
nice. It's amazing
beautiful.
city, and I'm like I'm gonna like if this city is close by, like I want to go right. Even if I don't know like if Guangzhou is gonna be fine. So yeah, so I'm there. And cat 6 years later.
You spent 6 years in China?
Yeah.
Holy
Yeah, it was
shit.
yeah
I didn't know
six
that.
6 years
Wow.
yeah
So you
so
were
yeah
so you went from obviously intern, they hired you full time after
yeah so
internship.
yeah that was like yeah I got there and I was doing internship and like I went there with this mindset in my head that I'm gonna get a job there you
That's
know
awesome.
like I'm gonna like the creative director later told me like that's like your portfolio all that 3D stuff that you were doing and like all that you know cool things. Like I could see that potential there, and I like that was the reason why we took it here. But of course, you are in a footwear company, and I wanted to learn about shoes as well. So I you start from like coloring stuff, technical
Yeah.
drawings, all these good stuff that we all know so well. And
The less design and more like normal stuff.
yes, yeah. So it had nothing to do with designing. It was
Yeah.
like it was but I learned about, like, they had their own workshop where they made prototypes, even. So there were guys that were skilled with shoes, so just watching them was already helping.
Amazing.
Yeah, sorry about Venice Beach. It's always some.
You're on Venice Beach?
You're close to that.
Amazing.
And so yeah, I mean, so it started, yeah, of course, from this task that you helping with everything you can, and then uh, I worked my way kind of up to working closely, to with Rem, and Rem D. Koolhaas is the nephew of the Rem Koolhaas architect, right? And so yeah, that took, of course, a very long time. And so, like, their products, the way I saw it, their products were always designed with like high attention to detail, and like
Mhm.
like you can tell from like looking at the shoes that like someone who cares about product designed these. And so what I wanted to see is more different products with that design direction and design language, um, design. So we did, like, I was trying to push it, like, let's try to do watches, let's try to do backpacks, and like, so we did all these things, and I had a great time. Like,
You got to expand their collection more to more products, more,
to more
which is,
products, yeah, yeah.
that's amazing.
So of course, from beginning, I worked on the commercial shoes, and like, um to be honest, like, I quickly departed from the commercial world, because that's like, it wasn't always about the design. It was a lot of, like, just the classic silhouettes, not the most exciting, just to have it there. But like, you still, this is unfortunately the designer job that many people might not realize. It's a lot of, like, just cranking through tech packs, and Pantone colors, and like millimeters, and measuring and all that. So it's not always mood boards, and you know
And fun
and fun,
3D renders and
and yeah. But
so
yeah,
what
it's part.
so let me ask you a question, right? Because I've gotten the opportunity to go to Guangzhou. Our facility for Vibrams in Guangzhou as well.
Okay.
And even after 4 months, like, Guangzhou is very different, like, because it is, like, to your point, mainland, right? So
Yeah.
what did you just love the culture there? Like, why did you decide to stay?
Well, I went there with the so like, from personal standpoint, I was leaving behind my girlfriend, right? Like, in Spain, but so it was a sad thing. But at the same time, I really wanted to be part of this company. Like, I didn't care what's out there, and I was willing to do that sacrifice. Like,
Wow.
uh, I you know, and for a certain time, it's actually exciting to be in China, because it's a completely new, like, especially for someone who never been there. Like, first, like, couple of months were super exciting, like, different food, different habits, and even if all the streets in Guangzhou are not like super clean and nice. But I see in your background there is a Hong Kong. Yeah, you might.
I bought this painting in Hong Kong.
Yeah, that's nice. No, so yeah, Hong Kong. Like, I don't want to change the topic, but like, yeah, I just noticed that you have it's a beautiful skyline. Hong Kong, I cannot get
It's
enough of.
unbelievable. Yeah. I mean,
And
the culture, the energy, there's a lot of good things about China, but it's very different than, like, Europe or America. In, like,
yeah,
I don't know personally if I could ever live in China. It's just not for me. after visiting. So you stayed 6 years. That's really
Yeah.
remarkable. You must have, I mean, United Nude, for those that don't know, is a really great brand. Like they do a lot of beautiful product. I remember seeing their brand on Concept Kicks years and years and years ago, like early, maybe 2013, 14, and I was like, oh my God, this is incredible.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I unfortunately, I think like they don't get enough recognition for the work they put out. To be honest, like the design is already good. They're doing great. It just, but yeah, and so that this was one of the reasons. Like if it's a company that I'm not really so interested in, and it doesn't doesn't push my creativity, and like that doesn't like stimulate me creatively, I wouldn't stay there. But like because of Graham and like his point of view and all that, like and we were always like, even if you have like, if you look back, like even if we had ups and downs, and like it's always bumpy. I had so much fun, working with him and with the team there. Like it was, we were always doing some cool stuff, and so that was and that was main reason. And then I got used to it, like being in China, and then on top of that, you have Hong Kong close by, so you could go there quite often. Then at some time, at one point, I started to travel a lot more, which wasn't easy because if you don't speak Chinese, then
It's
yeah, it's difficult.
it's difficult for
It's
sure.
very difficult. Or you have to have like local friend, which I had, but like if you want to go by yourself, then it's really
It's
not
tough
easy.
because not everybody speaks English. It's not like in
Yeah,
Europe,
no,
even 5, 10 years ago, like you can find somebody who speaks English. In China,
yeah.
it's very difficult to find somebody who speaks English.
Yeah, exactly. And even in Guangzhou, like if you go, our office was like in more local area, and like if you go to store there, like you will just point at things, like that's the best way. And if you go to more like modern area in the bars and restaurants, they might know some basic English. So
Yeah.
so that's and we had like always when we went to the factory, or a lot of my colleagues, local, they all spoke English. It was okay. Like we had translators for everything. So kind of like I get by, and a lot of my friends that I made there, they spoke English. So I didn't really need to, learn
Yeah.
Chinese, which I would do that differently. Whoever
So you
listens.
never you never like learned it like you did Spanish, like the basics?
No, yeah, like the Spanish, I really took courses, and like after work, I would just go like for another 2 hours to crank through Spanish, and
Oh my
and I'm
God.
so happy that I did it because
Yeah.
it was very exhausting. But now at least the basics I have, like if I go to Spain or Mexico, like I can ask for stuff. I still remember it, and it's a good base. I want to still improve Spanish. So if I did the same thing with Chinese, I would at least have some basics. So
But it's much more
to
difficult in my opinion.
it is. But you have to start somewhere. I met a lot of foreigners that like they were fluent, and they told me like, oh, 2 years or something like that. That in 2 years they could be like good. Like
Wow.
you're never gonna be like top, but like, or not never. But you can you can pick it up quickly, I think. And if you put a lot of emphasis in it, and time, and so I would do that differently. Even if you do small steps, like it's better than nothing. A lot
Yeah.
of people ask me like, so you 6 years in China, you must be speaking like perfect. No, I don't. Like I was
I only
like
know like ni hao and shay shay.
same.
Bukachi.
Yeah, same. Yeah. And so that I would do differently. So like take every opportunity to learn things, because like this is something that nobody can take away from you. And like being in that. Well, there is another aspect to it, because it's Canton, so they speak Cantonese.
Yep, versus
So like
Mandarin.
even if you I was interested in like the Mandarin, which you can speak everywhere, and that they wouldn't really like, they speak it, but like you wouldn't hear it on a street or
And
something, you
the
know.
difference is just the way they like say the same word. It's like they shift, like, I don't know how to describe it, but they shift a gear in their voice, and it's just like a different
Uh-huh. No,
different
well,
way.
okay, so Mandarin has like a four tones. I might be wrong. I don't want to.
You're probably more
But
right. I know nothing about it
and
except
then
that.
and like Cantonese have more tones. Like I think like it has more tones. And it sounds completely different. It's written in the same way, but it sounds completely different. And it was similar to yeah, like when I was in Barcelona, they also speak Catalan, and and you wanna learn Castellano, which is the Spanish that's from Mexico, and Catalan is like quite different. It's not completely different, but it's quite different. And then this was similar situation, but yeah, so
So
that.
what did so 6 years goes by, and then how do you end up in LA? Was that the next job, or?
Yeah. So that was actually back to China. Just I will touch on like um, around the projects that we were working on. So around this time, like we organized like RAM organized the workshop with designer with a couple of designers. That he had like six international designers coming to work on his uh, collection, and like so he invited like people to work for 2 weeks from the Guangzhou studio. And so at this time I met Saleh Bambury
I
and
was
like
gonna ask how you guys knew each other. That's
oh,
how.
okay, sorry,
No,
jumping
this is
in.
perfect. No, this is
Yeah,
perfect.
because
So he
it was during the China time basically, right? So this is how I met him. He was invited by RAM to
so
work.
they selected a handful of designers around the world to just
Yeah,
come.
so most of these designers were like his friends. So he like hit them up, and Salah, I think he contacted on LinkedIn or something. So yeah. And that's how I met him, and it was another yeah. Him and Jade Wu, who was then later. So Jade was later working as a footwear designer for Givenchy, and Salah, we know, and Versace.
Yeah.
So these two heavy hitters, and yeah, with him actually, since I met him during the workshop, I helped him with some like outsoles and stuff like that to design. And then later I worked when he was at Great. Yeah,
Yep.
we worked on some and worked some outsole concepts, and later when he was at the Easy, yeah, so we kind of worked
Yeah,
together.
you guys have definitely stayed in touch over the years, and that's
Yeah,
pretty much how we met.
and
So
that's how we met. That's how we
we
met.
met
Yeah,
at Complex Con in LA, and you were just walking alongside him as we're just chilling, and we I don't know, I felt like our conversation was super normal, and like I was wearing a
yeah.
movement watch, and like you're just like, oh, like
Oh, yeah, that was awesome. That was awesome. Yeah, that was such a full circle.
yeah.
Like you wearing that like movement watch. I'm like, yeah, I'm working for movement. That's awesome. Amazing.
Well, now that came full circle is like, and so you spent some time with Salehi. Your relationship obviously carried through his career from greats to Yeezy, you said. And did he have an influence of you coming to LA?
Um, he was he moved to LA because of Yeezy.
Right.
I remember, and he was definitely influence for me and inspiration in the way he pursued footwear, and like how passionate he was about it, and and how he approached that, and like how well connected, like how much you have to hustle, like to you have to be in it, and like, yeah, I don't know how to describe it in words. Like he's really in it. Like
Uh,
he's the footwear.
hustle's a good word for it. It's a
Yeah,
lot of effort to like maintain like relevancy, and to do what he's done is a tremendous feat.
yeah. And so but the move to LA was actually on our list with Rem, or that was his plan for a while. And
Oh,
so
okay.
he wanted to from United Nude, he wanted to uh, bring part of the operation to LA, and the reasons like broaden, like with the intent of broadening the marketing reach and pursue like more special projects with more like celebrities, and which we were already working on. Like over the years, I ended up like working more on like a special projects with him, and which is like a dream job for everybody who can see like special projects. That means that's an amazing job. Yeah.
So what's like if you could share like who's somebody that you've designed shoes with?
So I was sorry. I was so one of my first projects actually from back in back when I was in China was working with Iris van Herpen, who is like she's a part of Haute Couture, and she's doing like all these 3D printed and like she's using different techniques for high fashion than people usually do. And so we did 3D printed shoes with her. Then we did like another project, what's called Reinventing Shoes, that was presented in Milan, and that was working with names from mainly design and architecture world. So there was Ben van Berkel, it was Zaha Hadid there, Rosa Lovegrove, very respected product designer, industrial designer. Michael Yang, he's based in Hong Kong, great inspiration, I love his work. And Fernando Romero is architect. So all these guys were like approached by United Nude and like asked to design a wild shoe, and we helped them with the construction.
Super cool.
And they were supposed to be fully 3D printed, but of course there were like two parts to, like there was a special construction to make it work. And then so that would be like one part of it. And then when we moved to LA, it was more like we managed to do collaboration with Sean Ross, um, Victoria. Can you hear me well?
Yeah,
Yeah. So Sean Ross was like, for me, I knew him as a model, you know, like and like with, from some campaigns, and like LA is amazing that the people you know and look up to and like and admire, you can actually meet, right?
yeah.
So you know, we went to some speaking event where Ram was speaking, and he was there. I'm like, oh, that's Sean Rose. That's crazy. I'm like, I almost froze, and then like hour later, I'm like, I have to go talk to him. You know, like I'm gonna, even if I'm gonna embarrass myself, I'm gonna, you know. And so I started talking to him. And he's like, oh yeah, I know United Nude. Yeah, yeah, I know your stuff from like when you guys had like a store in New York, very relevant to the culture back then. You know, like in New York, everybody, you know, like fashion crowd knew you guys. And so yeah, we and I ended up then introducing him to Ram, and we did like a collaboration like of a shoe that was like for both him and her, right? So it was like a
So
heel,
cool.
men heel, Cuban heel kind of like a shoe. And then Victoria Modesta, well, she's like a bionic artist, so we did a special shoe, and she did project with Rolls Royce. So the output of that project was supposed to be a cool video, and then so she had all these like cool stuff made by other designers, like a 3D printed dress, and like, you know, and then the shoes that we did, and the shoe was basically supposed to so she's wearing prosthetic on one of her legs, and so there was an engineer who designed the coil that will be shooting electric signal into that prosthetics. So the prosthetics is until the knee, right? And so the prosthetics, imagine like it's like there is like a, so basically like it's like a flash going through
Yeah,
her
yeah,
leg,
yeah.
and but the coil is positioned in a shoe, and the circuit board is also has to be inside the shoe. and then
Oh,
the
yeah.
battery for all that she was wearing like on her hip, like hidden. So and then the guy, like the engineer, was like control it from a computer, and then then they made like a video of it, and like it was like a cool, like kind of music video, art video.
What a neat
uh
project.
yeah. What's was that, is that the question?
I said, what a neat project. That's
Oh
so
yeah.
different. Like, it's such a different design language because you're designing around all these constraints.
Yeah. It was a quick project, it was basically, so it was accommodating circuit board and coil inside a wedge, and then the team and then she chose upper, what upper she wants. She would draw it up, and I did the base that was 3D printed because it was so complicated. And then we sent that thing to to Guangzhou, where they assembled the upper on it and sent back to the engineer that put all the electric parts in it, and then to photo shoot, a video shoot. So
So crazy.
yeah, it was
That's awesome.
yeah.
And so what like obviously like I know you, and we touched on, the movement side of your career. Like
Oh yeah.
what made you switch over to watches at some point?
Okay, so that was another, like that was another like movement was again like on my radar for a while. And I had like ongoing passion for watches, and we did watches with United Nude.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, like so I was pushing to do something else. But United Nude was always understood as a footwear brand in the eyes of department stores, and like people, like even the customers. They're like, "What, you're doing watches now?" So they didn't, like, despite all the efforts of turning into like more lifestyle brand, the commercial world was just not seeing it. So I started to look around, and like I like movement was on my radar for a while, and like I was amazed by the lifestyle, like how they, like, what kind of lifestyle they are putting out through their watches.
Yeah.
And I just liked what they're doing with the social media and how they are blending it. Like everything was just right. They were done
I've
right.
been buying movement products for a long time, probably since
Nice.
I'm like their target market, like the way they advertise, to your point, right? The imagery, the way they captured what they were selling. I mean, it was really high quality for like an average price, right? You didn't have to spend
Yeah.
$300-400 on a watch. For
Yeah, exactly.
100-150 bucks, you get a beautiful watch.
Yeah, thanks for saying that. That's yeah, I kind of agree more. And
Yeah.
also, like, I think it resonated very well with with the more with the millennials and the younger generation,
Yep.
through that imagery, they're posting. And like it was, they were capturing that essence of all the, like, what's happening on the world of influencers, right? Everybody was posting stuff from like traveling around the world.
Yep.
So they basically understood that, captured I used that for as a marketing tool for their watches. And that was so smart in so many ways, like how they were like kind of like product placing their product into this kind of imagery that was already so familiar with our generation. And everybody was like so into it, like, oh, traveling, yes. And the combination of it was just amazing, and people were resonating with it. And so they were doing a lot of things right.
Yeah, for
and
sure,
uh,
for sure.
uh, and so I reached out. Actually, I reached out twice. I sent email, I think, and maybe I found the ad, like they're looking for someone. And the second time, it was during the time when they were being purchased by Movado. So it was great timing because they
They
were
were
looking for,
expanding.
like, they were looking for, a local talent or expansion. And so I was there with my experience and passion. So things worked out, and like, so second year I'm on the team. So that was
That's amazing.
yeah, that
You
was
like, it's so crazy now that like we heard the history of like you just keep going after certain aspects of what you love and like
follow your passions. Yeah, I'm gonna. That's that's the most a cliche thing that everybody
Totally.
says probably, right? Like, but I'm gonna say that, like, follow your passion, folks. You know,
And
I
it,
mean,
and
yeah,
and you've traveled the globe for your passions too. Let alone like you didn't even stay in just Europe. You traveled literally all across the globe.
yeah. I actually I was a little bit scared, to be honest, when I was going to China, because it is across the globe, and like my parents were like, "Oh my God, what you gonna eat there?" And like classic, you know, and and I was scared, but like I was also younger, and and I to this day I think I have this attitude that like I'm not afraid of like just changing completely, you know. I'm already starting to feel like I'd like to settle down, but like if there's another opportunity, I'll go after it. And I just wanted to add one detail to that movement thing. So because I wrote like LinkedIn message to Jake Kassan, who is like the founder of movement back in 2017 when I was still in China.
Yeah.
I was already kind of like I was reaching out, and so he didn't reply at the time, of course, which I understand because he must be getting tons of messages, right? And so I cannot reply to anyone. My point here is I wanted it, right? So the goal is know like to where you are going, you know, or manifest it, if you will.
Yeah.
You can say that that way. Your brain will simply find a way to there, and it's almost like magical, but everything else will clear up from way, and like you will somehow subconsciously find a way, and things will align. So yeah, so that's yeah, it's
Yeah, I
like
mean, if you
following your
believe if you believe, I mean, manifest is the perfect word, right? You know, some people believe in it, some people don't, but I think the you hear more and more stories of like people who really truly like want something, and they're not going to let anything stop. And it might take, you said 2017, it might take 4 years.
exactly, it doesn't happen quickly, and that's another thing, like you follow your passions, but from when the sparkle lights up until it turns into like full on campfire, and it takes a long time. It's like turning a direction of a cruise ship. It takes time until you start to see like different landscape, right? It's a very slow change, but you have to know the course, and that you are going there. So
That's
that's
awesome. I've never heard that analogy. I'm going to steal that.
oh, cool. Yeah, I don't know.
I love that.
It just when I was writing a notes for this, right? So I'm like, and sparkled like one morning. I'm like, this is awesome, because like that's how I feel about like the changes in my life. You know, you like if I just look at what happened with movement and how I got there, like it was something at the beginning, and then somehow I really ended up there.
Yeah.
So and it was a small change, but I knew that I'm going there, and so I guess this is a it's slow change, and but you will get there
Yeah,
somehow.
I mean that's awesome. I love that. And so I think that if there's one takeaway, and believe it or not, we've been talking for already an hour and 10 minutes, which is awesome.
Nice.
If like I guess that for the future, like what are your big goals, right? Like what do you think like very far in the future? Or you just kind of go with the moment.
Well, right now it's yeah, I don't I have some passions that I uh you know, they are maybe just passions, and they will remain passions, you know. I will just keep it, you know, at the moment for myself, and see how it goes, right?
Okay.
And I do a lot of things, you know, like I paint, and like and but I don't feel like it's at some point it will gravitate like heavily towards what you want.
Yeah.
And um I had, you know, I think uh, working at movement, doing eyewear with them, watches, jewelry, those three things were kind of and this is like it's amazing because that was what I wanted to do. You know, like all these three categories like were something that were on my list. Like we tried to do jewelry with United Nude, but it was just concepts, you know. And then we tried to do try to do this and these things, and like and then I'm like, I wanted to do it like for a commercial brand, and like for someone who like that you will see it on the market, right?
Yeah.
And so I think I even said that with conversation with some of my friends, like I see myself like this kind of accessories like area, right now, like I wear watches, jewelry, like the small things, like those really excites me, and footwear is there as well, like that's also like it's accessories, and like you have to say it out loud, I said it out loud, like I see
And then you
myself
did
like
it.
these three things, and then yeah, and then it happens. So I think like in this area, I kind of like, I will pursue that direction for now, and then yeah, so that's probably,
So
yeah.
one of the last questions I gotta ask you, because you're very, you don't have like a big Instagram presence, like you don't post a lot, you don't do a lot of social media to my knowledge, obviously.
Yeah.
Is there like is that purposeful? Is it like is there a specific reason for that, or is it just?
Yeah, I just that's a good question. I I don't I was in China, right? And they have WeChat there. And I
Yeah,
was really I was really into it as well. I was younger and I was really into it. Like I was on my phone constantly. And then somehow and Instagram wasn't really working, and it wasn't even on
it
my
doesn't
map
work in
so
China.
much. It doesn't. And so I then later, like, yeah, Instagram, I mean, I got my account. It just uh, I have to get to it, and I just don't know how to grow that, like the audience, and like what's the right content I should be putting out, and yeah, it's like another thing. It seems like another uh, um, um, thing to do, another
No,
layer.
it is. It's like
Yeah,
another mini job to like keep
it's
up to
you're
date.
right. That's a good description. I have a colleague that he's really into it. Like all my colleagues are into Instagram, right? They all on Instagram, very active, and like and so we came to a conclusion that like once you have the audience, you kind of have to keep entertain the audience, and like coming up with stuff. um so yeah, maybe there is like some psychological level to it, but yeah, I definitely want to improve now with all that,
Because
time.
your work is great. Like you're
Thanks.
like a super talented designer, but like I guess it leads to like one of the last things is like I know you have a website, and like maybe you could share like where if somebody's interested, how they could reach you or find you,
Yeah.
in case they were interested in your work.
So yeah, it's michalkukucka.com, michalkukucka.com.
I'll put it in there. Don't worry.
Okay, cool. And actually, I'm working on an update. Like I was last 2 months that we had so much time. Uh,
Yeah,
I used it properly, and I actually was working on refreshing the website. So I
that's awesome.
next week I think it's gonna have new stuff and new design, and right
Well,
now it's a little bit just like I just dropped it there, but like it's gonna be a lot
well,
neater.
by the time this comes out, hopefully your website's updated. So
Yeah,
that
okay, I'll do my
that
best.
that'll be perfect.
Yeah. Also, yeah.
With that, I mean, dude, we covered a lot. Thank you for the time. This was
Nice.
awesome.
Yeah.
I'm super happy to like hear
Thanks.
about your past and stuff like that.
Thank you, David.
Is there
Yeah.
anything else that you want to say or inform people about? Because this was awesome.
Yeah. Follow your passions.
Yeah, I love it. You'll end up
It
in
takes time.
Guangzhou, maybe.
It's a cruise ship. Yeah.
All right, man. Thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Thank you, David. Yeah.
All right, talk soon. Bye.
Talk soon. Bye.